let's go make our other routes enabled. Let's go to app.jsx. I want you to delete both details and search. After this, I will push another branch. And what I want to do here, just make sure I get this correct. I'm going to do another async route. Props is going to be equal to props. Oh, actually, props is going to be equal to objects.assign. We're going to have an object of shows, because we're going to have to pass in preload.shows, because that's what we were doing before. Comma, props. So we're making sure that we're also bringing in all the props as well. So that's object.assign. That's the end of props. And then here, we're also going to have to pass in loading promise, which is going to be equal to import search./search. That should be enough. Okay, so that's our second route. And then the last route here, we're going to have to mess around with this component here. So down here, what we're going to return is, instead of returning details right here, we're going to return async route. Props is going to be equal to, again, object.assign. And show is going to be selected show. And do we really need that? I don't think we need that. And props. Okay, so to placate the type checker, it's saying, hey, I need you to guarantee me that match is coming, because details depends on match, if you remember that. So just to placate the type checker, just to make sure that always comes through, is we're going to pass it match that way. Oops, match. Whoa, what happened here? I'm going to say match colon that. Okay. Now what are you mad about? Oh, and you need loading promise, obviously. So the other thing you could do if you didn't want this type error is you could go make match a maybe type and then do default props, and that would work okay. I don't really have a problem doing with this either way, so up to you. Loading promise is going to be equal to /details. So again, another reason why I left Flow here is I totally forgot to put loading promise on there, but Flow is quick to say, hey, you promised me that this loading promise was coming in. Where is it, right? And it just instantly reminded me to do that. So it's just very tight feedback loop coming from the type checker.
Don't you have to import that?
You do, thank you. Import. So again, if you see right there, it was arrowing out, is saying, you're passing me a string and I want a promise. Okay, so now if we go to our Webpack console, we should see three different bundles, right? So if we go down here all the way to the bottom, you're going to see 0.bundle, bundle 4, bundle out 5. So it's actually being quite a bit stuff going out here. And a lot of times that gets bundled in weird and mysterious ways. Sometimes you'll have 2 bundles that'll share a library, so it'll split that out into a yet different bundle so that the last bundle doesn't have to get it and only the other 2 have to get it. It does some really clever stuff that it's only possible if a machine is analyzing your dependency graph and not you. So again, I got bundle and 5.bundle.js. As soon as I go to browse all, I'm going to get 0, and as soon as I go to the last one, I'm going to get 4. And then again, I can go back, and it's not going to request it after that because it's already in the cache, and Webpack is very good about keeping that cache, so you can just keep handing it to it. So, pretty awesome. Any questions about that? Well, let me pose a question on your behalf. We're doing server-side rendering, and if you look at our server-side rendering, well, we're not doing server-side rendering right now, but when we do server-side rendering, I think we could just do it right now. Yeah, it should work. Yarn start, shut that down. Whatever, screw you, hot module reload. If you look here at the output of it, we're getting the loading spinner as the output, right? Because the first load is going to be the loading spinner. That's what we expect. So this is the dark side of splitting your code, is there's not really a good way of doing server-side rendering and code splitting because those initial renders are never going to match up. And so what's going to happen is you're going to load that markup, and like say you're able to inject that component so it's loaded synchronously on the server. It gets sent down to the client. React is going to say, this is different than what I render. My first render is a loading spinner. I'm going to blow this away. Then it blows it away, puts the loading spinner up, and then it's going to reload the one that you have. And right now it's kind of an unavoidable problem. Just by the architecture of Webpack, we really can't get around it. So we're working on it, is the answer to that question. The Webpack team's aware of it. There's a couple, like James Kyle put out a component called React Loadable that kind of seeks to sidestep it. But suffice to say that for today, we're not going to be able to sidestep it. So server-side rendering and code splitting are kind of choose one right now. And it's kind of up to you to decide which one's the best one. Don't get me wrong, you can do both. There's some difficulties in getting it to work. Any other questions?
So for our purposes, we just had to change the Webpack config, right? From the server side to the client side with the HMR. Like when we read this, do we change it back to what
the dev server?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It's easier to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.